Frontline Briefing, uncovering modern warfare's hidden battles.
What if a strategic bomber could be crippled before it ever left the ground?
3:15 a.m. Engels Air Base. Look at that Tu-160. Russia once flew this bomber across the Atlantic to intimidate NATO. The West exposed its weakness, and tonight, Ukraine exploits the gap. They will turn the Tu-160 from a symbol of power into a strategic liability. In 75 seconds, the bomber's fuel management system will ignite in a catastrophic thermal event. At the same moment, a nearby stockpile of 50 Kh-101 cruise missiles detonates in a chain reaction, wiping out the backbone of Russia's winter strike plans. This isn't a chance. It's precision-programmed infiltration that costs less than the champagne in Russian generals' bunkers, slipping through while billion-dollar defense systems chase ghosts. We aren't talking about hitting a truck or warehouse. We're talking about the theft of the century, an operation designed to rip the heart out of Russia's nuclear triad. Open-source satellite imagery, flight tracking data, and leaked Russian maintenance logs all confirm the same thing. This bomber was vulnerable, sitting exposed, and Ukraine knew exactly where it was. The next 13 minutes reveal how close they came to succeeding. This is the White Swan. To Moscow, it's the untouchable symbol of Soviet engineering genius. To the rest of the world, it's a $300 million flying museum piece. Remember when Russia flew these to Cuba to flex on Washington? The Pentagon didn't even blink. They just tracked the sensors and noted how loud these birds actually were. The Tu-160 was designed to penetrate American airspace during the Cold War. Supersonic capability, nuclear payload, intercontinental range. On paper, it's terrifying. In reality, modern air defense tracks these bombers like freight trains. But for Ukraine, this is deadly serious. The trap was set 3 days ago. Kyiv deliberately sabotaged a Russian logistics convoy, damaging the specific Tu-160M variant. The attack ruptured critical fuel lines, forcing the Russians to park the damaged beast right out in the open. Because Russia's maintenance infrastructure has collapsed, the specialized hangars aren't available. The most expensive aircraft in Putin's arsenal is currently a $300 million sitting target, undergoing emergency repairs beneath the stars. How could anyone actually steal a strategic bomber from inside Russia? Here's what made it plausible. First, the Tu-160 doesn't require a runway crew to start. Soviet bombers were designed for rapid nuclear scrambling. Simplified startup procedures mean 2 people can get this aircraft airborne with the right access codes. Second, Engels 2 spans over 2 square miles. Security is designed to keep threats out, not monitor every meter of tarmac once you're inside the perimeter. Third, Ukraine had those codes. Russian maintenance crews communicate through unsecured apps. Signal intercepts and infiltrated contractor networks gave Ukrainian intelligence the digital bypass sequences and engine startup protocols they needed. This wasn't Hollywood fantasy. This was intelligence-driven asymmetric warfare, exploiting Soviet-era vulnerabilities. Ukraine had the codes, elite Soviet-trained pilots, and opportunity. Russia just handed it to them. 2:50 a.m. Deep into Russian territory, 10 reconnaissance microdrones drift through dense river mist, hunting for one specific silhouette, the Tu-160M. Moscow believed their air defense dome made it untouchable. They were catastrophically wrong. The stakes are massive. If Ukraine succeeds, they don't just cripple a bomber. They shatter Russia's strategic deterrent. The psychological impact would be devastating. Imagine the headlines: Ukraine lands stolen Russian bomber in Kyiv. The humiliation would be global. NATO analysts are examining every system. Russia's most prestigious aircraft was paraded as a trophy of war. More than that, it would prove Russia cannot protect its most critical assets, even deep inside its own territory. 15 Ukrainian operatives are approaching Engels 2 right now. This is a suicide mission with a strategic payoff that could change the war. They're not just soldiers. They're former Soviet Air Force personnel who know these aircraft inside and out, engineers who've mapped every security patrol pattern at Engels 2, intelligence officers who've rehearsed every contingency. This isn't improvisation. This is precision infiltration. These operatives are threading across the Russian heartland at bone-chilling low altitude, weaving along the Volga corridor, using riverbanks and morning vapor as natural camouflage. To the S-400 surveillance radar, this strike force is phantom, masked behind the planet's curvature. But Ukraine isn't just depending on altitude masking. They're executing the most sophisticated electronic deception of this war. And here's where the operational brilliance becomes clear. 8 specialized Phantom drones suddenly break pattern and rocket into a steep climb, broadcasting the unmistakable electronic signature of incoming Storm Shadow cruise missiles. The Russians swallow it completely. Inside the S-400 command post, the display explodes into crimson warnings. Multiple high-value targets, inbound fast, heading directly toward Engels 2.
Есть цель, азимут 152, дальность 15, высота 2.
Есть цель по первому пуск разрешен.
По первому пуску.
The operator is facing his nightmare scenario, a Western precision strike against Russia's most strategic airbase. He's frantic to shield the Tu-160. He skips verification protocols. He fires 648N 6E interceptors. That's $18 million of Russian cutting-edge missiles hurled into the void to atomize $40,000 worth of decoy hardware. The cost equation defies military logic, but it works. Now here's the brilliant part, the mid-mission payoff that makes everything else possible. Those decoys don't just waste Russian missiles. They create a critical window of confusion. For exactly 90 seconds, Russian air defense thinks they've just repelled a major NATO-supplied strike. Commanders are congratulating themselves. The entire base defense network believes the threat has been neutralized. They have no idea the real infiltration is happening at ground level, right now, while they're celebrating victory against phantoms. This is the moment Ukraine needs. This is when the heist becomes possible. As the phantoms vanish overhead, Russian teams are celebrating what they believe was a defeated Western strike. They're completely unaware that they just demolished illusions. While the S-400 operators scan the stratosphere, the base defenses experience a digital meltdown. The Panzer short-range system is designed to be the ultimate swarm destroyer. But the electromagnetic interference and digital chaos from destroyed decoys create a targeting nightmare. For exactly 2 minutes, the Panzer's targeting computer suffers a breakdown, trying to distinguish between debris, false echoes, and genuine threats. 2 minutes is all Ukraine needs. Concealed in marsh grass near the Tu-160's landing gear, 5 figures control their breathing. This is an elite reconnaissance sabotage team. These specialists are the human element for the most brazen aircraft theft in military history. They aren't here to destroy it, they're here to commandeer it home. They possess electronic bypass sequences downloaded from intercepted Russian databases, portable ignition gear designed to activate those massive NK-32 engines. 2 Ukrainian pilots, former Soviet Air Force, who've flown aircraft like this hundreds of times. The plan is insane but technically feasible. Get inside, override security, power up, taxi, wheels up before Russian fighters scramble. For several terrifying moments, the hijacking of the century is genuinely possible. The White Swan sits temporarily unguarded, the ultimate grand theft scenario, with a $300 million strategic bomber as the prize. But the Kremlin's protection isn't entirely electronic. Precisely as the lead specialist reaches for the entry hatch, a piercing perimeter klaxon fractures the quiet. A Russian rapid response unit has just activated. In the darkness, the beams of 4 armored trucks race toward the flight line. Someone noticed something. Maybe thermal cameras caught movement. Maybe a patrol saw shadows. Maybe just bad luck. The opportunity closes instantly. The specialists dissolve back into the Volga fog like phantoms. On a hardened tablet, the squad leader inputs a final coded instruction. Secondary plan is active, because Ukraine prepared for this exact scenario. If they can't steal Russia's most expensive bomber, they'll destroy Russia's ability to use it for months. And they'll take out something even more valuable. The data feed displays the remaining surveillance drones, which had been maintaining silent loiter above the waterway. These platforms are no longer reconnaissance assets. They're now completely autonomous hunter-killers. 3:21 a.m. The Ukrainian AI controlling the primary drone lacks consciousness, but if it possessed awareness, it would be amused by Russian tactical doctrine. The Kremlin's defense elements are all concentrating around the Tu-160, treating it like the singular asset. They're so fixated on the Swan that they've entirely overlooked the arsenal. Just a few hundred meters away lies the genuine foundation of Russia's strategic punch, the Kh-101 missile depot. This facility houses 50 of Moscow's most devastating cruise missiles, fueled and primed for deployment. Each Kh-101 carries enough explosive power to flatten a city block. These are the weapons Russia uses to terrorize Ukrainian cities during winter, targeting power infrastructure in civilian areas. 50 missiles represent months of production, millions of dollars, dozens of planned strikes. 12 Ukrainian drones execute a coordinated assault formation, plunging toward the storage facility and bomber simultaneously, maintaining such a low altitude that they're virtually kissing the concrete. The Panzer tries to engage. Too late, too confused, too overwhelmed. The primary drone penetrates the missile complex. The shaped charge warhead initiates a devastating cascade failure. 50 Kh-101 missiles detonate sequentially, generating a thermal pulse that vaporizes steel. The shockwave levels every structure within half a kilometer. The Tu-160 absorbs the blast, the fuselage buckles. The avionics fry instantly. A $300 million piece of scrap metal in 3 seconds. First, the immediate calculation. Ukraine spent drones and forced Russia into an industrial-scale rebuild. For the cost of several precision drones, Kiev just presented Moscow with a reconstruction bill that would bankrupt a small nation. The White Swan isn't merely damaged, it's operationally destroyed. The avionics destruction alone requires 8 months minimum for restoration, assuming critical components can be acquired, despite sanctions. But the Kh-101 missile stockpile is the genuine strategic knockout. By eliminating 50 missiles in one synchronized operation, Ukraine just erased approximately 125 planned attack sorties. Russia's winter terror campaign didn't just stumble, it lost its operational fangs for the remainder of the season. And here's the cascade effect the Kremlin is currently panicking about. Engels 2 was supposed to be the sanctuary for Russian strategic aviation, the untouchable fortress deep inside Russian territory. Now it's a proven target zone. Ukraine demonstrated that Russia cannot protect its most critical assets, even hundreds of miles from the front line. The psychological damage rivals the physical destruction, and nothing is safe. The theft of the century became something more significant proof that asymmetric warfare can reach anywhere, anytime, and turn Russia's most prestigious symbols into strategic liabilities.